Hey there. This time the next review is about Spider-Man the film, released 10 years ago, actually, and the new Spider-Man is out. So let's go over this one first. This version actually stars former actors Tom Maguire Spider-Man and director was Sam Raimi. As you can see, as Spider-Man and crawling on New York City, and this film title is actually vertical, whereas the two other films, which I might do later on, is actually now placed on top, and it's rated 12. So those that are 12-year-olds are the only ones that can watch this video when I come to inform content in this film, includes some film bonus feature. Technically, after watching, there's a 25-minute behind the scenes. As you can see, the red case, and of course it's actually a VHS because I didn't buy it because I didn't have a disc player by then. But I don't think I've got time to do that now. I don't think I've got the time to do that now because I still got a VCR. So, but I'm sure people could do video reviews that they got on discs. It's a red case, as you can see, whereas the two other films, Spider-Man 2 I got is black. Spider-Man 3 I do have in red. But I'm sure Spider-Man 2 and 3, which I might do later on, has got is actually a DVD. As you can see on the side, it's adapting to the case. You can see the transition going on, and something that some films do. So the mini icon of the front cover, as you can see here, there's a Spider-Man, the age rating, and the home video distributors, Columbia Home Entertainment, which since Spider-Man, which I don't know what year though, but Spider-Man 3 says Sony Pictures Home Entertainment. You'll see later on. You'll see when I do a Spider-Man 3 review. And the back has the plot about the film and the extreme success according to how well it worked. Like Daily Mirror gave it 5 stars for greatest superhero film. News of the World gave it 5 stars for the film raised the game every single blockbuster, and 9 out of 10 by the Sun because it's spun gold for Spidey and stunning, perfectly acted, and has MJ kissing Spidey, which you know is the raining scene. Spidey, which I don't know what scene this is, but I'm sure there is possibilities the films do have this thing called unused scenes. And the Green Goblin, which I'm betting was Parker's house, he tapped in after May Parker. Then this black thing around it is actually the credits, which actually you could barely read that. But I'm sure most films nowadays you can. And the black that rectangle, black rectangle you can see right here where my thumb's pointing at is actually marble, and the other side here is Columbia. It's 12 and back then we had this kind of saying where it says language, sexual nudity, violence, and other. Nowadays, these from 2004 to so on, this part is actually beneath it. And for this is replaced with a saying that it contains for example, if this was released in 2004, it would have said 12 contains strong action, violence, and sensitive language. And the bump part says suitable only for persons who have not to be supplied to any person below the age. That's what 2004 nowadays mentioned the film ratings. And this is copyright info that you shouldn't do copyright infringements to it. And so we have a videotape with the Columbia Trista home video thing, and we had that little chef thing, which I don't know what happened. Which, come to think, but that restaurant came to a defunct beyond 2002. Now we have other restaurants out there. If you guys know if you UK fans of this video, if you United Kingdom fans of me, you know what's happening nowadays. Please reply to me in this video. Comment to me in this video. And we have the tape where it has the Columbia Trista, the light hit thing, the 3D light hit thing when you hit the light at it, and Spider-Man and all that. And before I begin, I want to point out that Marvel Comics originally was actually the only popular comic book brand, where it's not owned by a film studio. From the year it started all the way up to December 30th, 2009, and now December 31st, 2009. the Mickey Mouse film studio, the Walt Disney Company, now acquired for $4 billion in order to help support distribute entertainment and all that. You'll find out if you go to a video called Disney Buys Marvel. There, I'm sure. Look for the one where it has the Disney CEO talking about his reason why he got his hands on Marvel. No, because I can't explain this. Because I'm sure everyone around the world could explain it. Yes. Okay. The least favorite. This one explains a very strong origins, unlike the reboot, because such as when Peter Parker was bitten by a spider, he's actually bitten in a regular science lab, whereas in the reboot, which we'll go over, it's actually an Oscorp lab. If you guys seen it on cinemas, is actually the Oscorp lab, but not the regular lab. And of course, this in the reboot, which shared the idea that his high school is actually Midtown, and Peter Parker, and unlike the reboot where Peter Parker wears contact lenses, he didn't need contact lenses to take off his glasses. When a spider bit him, his contacts changed. And the one thing I found out, and just like in the comics and stuff, the spider had bitten Peter Parker right at the hand. And some parts of the story, the comics, I'm not so sure whether they're left or right. The cartoons I know, released in 1994, it bit him in the spider, a radioactive spider bit him in the left arm. But in this one, it bit him in the right arm, right on this spot, where his blood tubes were. And because that, all the spider powers went transferred into his blood, which we got to see an actual computer animated fantasy of that when Peter fell asleep. He felt a bit dizzy because he got plagued the idea that he got bitten by maybe it's because he never imagined being bitten by a small little creature. Osborn, and I kind of found out, was ambitious to get his hands on credits for all his work, for all his Oscorp work, which is why he tested the steroids. Originally I thought what I did when I first watched it, I was like, has the thing corrupted him? But no. When I was watching it too many times, I was able to understand that because while his muscles were amplified, he created birth of a goblin replica inside his head. A goblin replica of him was created inside his head and took him over. And the goblin side got birth and gained consciousness and killed Dr. Strom. And after getting out, the goblin mind came into dormant when Oscorp woke up as his son Harry Osborn and found out he was knocked out. After the scene after Peter torn up the banner on the bus, which when I first saw that scene, I was like, is it because the claws, the little sharp things on his fingers are growing? Which I'm guessing it might have been that at which later on he saw it growing, and then he begins. Which when I saw that, I was like, is he transformed into a spider? But no, those things were only created to help him adapt to the walls, helping him crawl on it. He tested crawling after fighting Flash in school. Cool. And it was kind of lol the way Peter Parker screamed, long jumping building on the rooftop, on the top of the buildings, and then his first and one thing that first I thought was disgusting when I was told about this content was that when Peter sat on the ground and a fork got stuck to his hand. I thought, but actually, it wasn't. It wasn't actually that disgusting. When he got down to the seat, he felt the fork was stuck like here, and he thought somebody wanted him out. But when he pulled it out, it's actually webbing, and I'm sure you guys seen this, and it was kind of funny the way he held the tray filled with cafeteria food all over Flash's back, which of course every time I watched it, I actually pretended it was, and he actually hit a teacher, and the teacher was wondering if any of the school class did that, and because that Flash kind of grew, and because that Flash kind of grew angry, Peter Parker trying to get the blame for the teacher being messed up. Of course that's what I always do every time I watch it. You get the idea that Flash was the one hit by it, and that's why he attacked Peter Parker. And I'm sure though the watcher could find it lol when Peter was either squeezing or twisting in Flash's arm during a fight when it was almost ending. And the one thing I found weird is that Mary Jane always moves on to every boyfriend's, and throughout the course of the Spider-Man films. First, she went with Flash in this one, and then moved on and temporarily was going to date Harry as you guys seen in that balcony scene, which the Green Goblin attacked and blew up. Then she kept moving on to every boyfriend's, and when Spider-Man saved her, she grew more obsessed. She grew more into a fawning relationship with him. Being rescued the first time on the balcony, the second time when it was arraigned by a group of thugs trying to kill her or something. And I don't get how MJ did not know who Spider-Man really was when Spider-Man was fighting the Crooks, maskless. I do not get how she barely saw that. And in the fire, originally when I saw that, I thought it was a civilian. But when Peter got near, the Green Goblin punched him down. And when I saw Abbott trailers and behind the scenes, when I saw Peter's arm with a cut and blood, I was like, how did that happen? But watching the fire scene, one of the Goblin's flying blades that derived from the pumpkin bombs, if you don't set it in detonation, if you don't send detonation blow, instead hurl it at it, separating into like rotating blades. Spidey deflected them, succeedingly in the round, and accidentally scratched his left arm with it. And because of that, I don't get how he and the Green Goblin were fighting, and I don't get how Osborn recognized the cut in Peter Parker's arm. How Osborn recognized the cut in Peter Parker's arm to be Spider-Man, and the blood that dripped on the wall when Oscorp noticed something from the ceiling, and then noticed he was hiding in the balcony part of that apartment, and they temporarily rented it. They temporarily rented for this film only. He recognized the cut from Spider-Man. How did he know that the cut from Peter Parker's arm is actually the cut from Spider-Man, even if he and though. And the one thing I did not like about Harry is he always thinks wrong. Such as when he thought when Spider-Man killed Norman Osborn, even though it wasn't. Osborn tried to kill, as you heard in Spider-Man 3, Osborn tried to kill him. But what he didn't explain fully that the glider was about to hit through him, but he jumped and forgot to save Osborn from it, and it was too late, and it hit through his abdomen. And then because at the end of the film he pledged his allegiance to Osborn, that Spider-Man will be punished for killing him, even though he didn't. And of course the exact origins of Ben Parker's death was actually, and the correct origins of Ben Parker's death was when Spider-Man introduced himself in a costume during the wrestling league, and after he won, of course in regular incarnations he let a crook go for other reasons, whereas in this film he did let him go for a reason, because he wasn't paid by the guy. He thought getting paid back at that guy by letting the crook get away with the money. And when he saw Ben Parker shot, a guy stole his car and he followed him. Of course, unlike the comics and stuff and the cartoons, it wasn't that costume. He fought in the wrestling and chased the guy who's identified in the third one was Dennis Carradine in Spider-Man 3. When he was chasing Ben Parker, it wasn't that costume. When he was chasing him for killing Ben Parker, it wasn't that costume. That costume was only introduced after he graduated. Good. Good. And whereas in the reboot, it was a different story. It was a different story about Ben Parker's death. Yes. It was a different story about how Ben Parker died. Right. Right. If anybody thinks about buying the reboot, then if where I live, if the family I live in has got buys the reboot of this Spider-Man film series, then I might explain all about it. If I do watch it too many times, like I did with this, it's the Batman trilogy and all that. Right. This I kind of give it like technically an 8 out of this is an 8 out of 10, and the fact it was a top success of the Origins, and now the next one might be a Bionicle review, might be a Bionicle film review to see what I think about it. I'm going through the past orders because that way I could finish all the way reaching up to what might be the current. So anyway, I hope don't forget to subscribe, comment, rate stars, as like or favorite to this video. And I'm signing off now. See you in the next video.